Hello and thank you for joining the Monday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Today on the program, Southwest governors order joint operations of Amotekun security corps following Igangan killings. Military warns NLC against power cuts during second strike in Kaduna State, says bombs stored in strategic locations could explode. And later on the show, federal government summoned the envoys of the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, and the European Union in Nigeria for a meeting over their comments on the suspension of Twitter. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Adewale Adeoye. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. Eternal vigilance is not just the price of freedom, but that of security of lives and property as well. Governors of Southwest states have directed commanders of the Southwest Security Network, popularly called Amotekun, to commence joint operations to fight insecurity in the region. Chairman of the Southwest Governors Forum and Ondo State Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu stated days following latest attack on Igangan community in Oyo State. Governor Akeredolu says the joint operations will combat growing herders attacks usually launched from the forest in the region. Babajide, this Igangan, what happened the first time? It's looking so much like a reprisal attack.
I don't know. I don't know how to describe what has happened. I've said repeatedly that all these reprisal attacks will not take us anywhere. It will just create a cycle of unended killings. Because if you say you come to launch a reprisal attack, you leave some people dead, the children of the dead will be filled with vengeance as well. And they too will want to carry out their own attack another time. So this is how we create needless crisis that we could be fighting for years and years. We've seen communities that have been at war for more than 40 years. This is the sort of thing that leads to it. An attack happens, okay, you are not going to wait for government to resolve it. You imagine that we are a lawless state where the law does not have to be obeyed, and then you take the law into your hands and begin to kill people. It's a senseless thing to embark on reprisal attacks. It's a senseless thing. If every attack or every killing by a group must be avenged, the world will not be what it is today. And that's why Mahatma Gandhi said, an eye for an eye makes the world go blind. If you must take somebody's eye because they took your own, then all of us will eventually be blind. We won't have eyes. I mean, it's senseless, this thing going on. It's senseless.
It's deteriorating.
It's a lot of even the attacks in the north, in Zamfara, in Katsina, a lot of it are reprisal attacks, either for attacks carried out by vigilantes, killings by vigilantes, and that's why the governor of Zamfara said, okay, I'm banning Insecurity because Insecurity is the vigilance group that the Hausas set up against the Fulani. This whole thing, the killings in the north, began more like ethnic battles. That's what it is. Then some group now became bandits. One of the two groups became bandits.
Now have access to mercenaries.
Yes, they bring in mercenaries from even outside of Nigeria to come and fight on their behalf.
And there's a way they send signals to them. Anyway, they are distressed.
Yes, they send signals to them. Oh, come and avenge the killings. So. They just come. They don't even know you. They start killing people. In the case of Igangan, for example, the people knew that an attack would happen. A lot of what we are reading on the social media, a lot of it is not true. The people prepared for this attack. If not for that, honestly, it could have been worse.
Oh, the Igangan guys.
Yes. They prepared for this. They prepared for this attack. The people were ready. And thanks to the efforts of the police, the Amotekun that worked together, they were able to beat back these guys and killed out of the official figure of 11. 5 of the attackers were killed. So if it was,
would have claimed more casualties.
If they were not prepared at all, it will have been worse. It will have been worse because the hunters were prepared, they were ready, and they were able to limit the extent of the killings. Now, there's that sort of vigilance that has to continue because you know that this is an area that is likely to continue to come under attack. Then there must be vigilance on the part of the security agencies, Amotekun itself, to ensure that when these guys come, they are sent back to where they come from. If you don't do that, then they will keep coming.
Now, when I listened to the Seriki of that Igangan, the one that was the one that fled.
Exactly.
I listened to his interview on BBC, and it was like, oh, anytime he hears the name Sunday Igboho, that fear comes to his mind, and he was trying to paint the picture of how much he has lost. His forefather, his grandfather, was a big successful farmer and cow seller in Igangan, that he lost over 300 cows. He said he lost over 200 million properties and everything. Now, somebody like that now, just imagine that might have fueled this kind of reprisal. If that person is, I think it's somewhere in Glory now.
Yes,
and, you know, he's saying that his grandfather is from the place. And in the interview, he was speaking Yoruba, flawless Yoruba.
No doubt the Fulani migration to the southwest dates back to over 2 centuries ago. Even the Seriki Fulani of Lagos is the 4th generation of Fulani that have been in Lagos, been in Lagos for a very long time. And when he goes to Sokoto, he always say that, I'm going back home when he's coming back to Lagos. So there are people like that who have settled there for a very long time. And that's why we expect such people to use their position to nip the crisis in the bud. Because he's talking about items that were lost and all that, but all those things are not combined, are not up to the loss of one human life. And I think what has happened is quite unfortunate. Like Babajide said, we all knew this would happen. Apart from the communities that knew there was going to be a reprisal attack, there have been warning signals. The commander of Amotekun in Oyo State, General Togun,
yes,
he warned just about 8 days ago,
yes,
that there were plans to attack communities
with foreign fighters
in Southwest, and he mentioned Igangan. And of course, we have had reports from international intelligence agency. So we have expected preventive measures, not just by the communities alone, but by the federal government and the state government. Maybe in terms of deployment of troops in those areas to preempt possible attacks. Because when you see the trend, when these attackers come, most of the time there are innocent people that are victims, old people that are too old to run from their homes, children, pregnant women, nursing mothers.
They don't have any rules, of engagements.
And we should be conscious of the fact that this was how the crisis in Kaduna started. In Northeast, the same pattern. Northwest, the same pattern. South, Middle Belt. So we should not allow the country to have a 360-degree circle of violence. I'm appalled by, the fact that we are seeing violence almost every day and everywhere. And it's as if we are just hopeless, we are helpless. And I don't think we should be in that kind of situation. Once you have legal authority, the state should be able to stem in the bud this spate of killings before it gets out of hand. If we are going to be living in a society where you attack me, I attack you, then where are we? Where are we going?
And we become animals.
We become animals. No respect for rule of law, no respect for human beings. So I think we just need to take decisive action. If not, it may repeat itself again.
Okay, I have my first caller. Caroline is calling us from Ikoyi in Lagos Island. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Go ahead with your contribution, please.
Okay. Hello. I watch this program every evening. I wouldn't do without watching it. at least we can see and hear what is happening in Nigeria. I just want to say that this last thing that happened yesterday or the day before, this Igangan killings, we say they are reprisals. But before these reprisals, we've had this problem now for at least 2 years. Farmers being killed, children being slaughtered. They cannot even graze their crops. You know, and the fact that this Cherokee Fulani man, when they sent him away at that time, he was part of this thing. He knew where the people were coming from. He did nothing about it. At the end of the day, you know, why should we now let them come back in again and do what happened yesterday? Like Jide says, it's not that the people were prepared. They turned down a petrol station. They turned down the Oba's Palace there. People were killed again. How come they're able to get back in again after they have been sent away? We cannot continue like this, and it's getting worse. And they're even back. They're even in Lagos as well. If
Thank you,
the
Caroline.
government in the beginning had stopped this thing 2 years ago, when the press were calling on them that this is what is happening, little by little by little. Even Makinde, look at what he had to say.
Thank you,
What he
Caroline.
said
Thank
was,
you for your contribution. Vajide Caroline saying we cannot just continue like this because now
That's the point. People who are so bloodthirsty that at every opportunity they'll be asking for vengeance, this and that. If the people of Benue were to avenge the killing of more than 100 people in one day, the governor had to bury more than 100 people in one day. If they were to avenge that, do you know what would have happened?
Naki.
Do you know what will have happened? And these killings have not stopped. Just killing our people as if our people are as worthless as dogs. Even animals do not deserve to be wasted in this manner because they are creations of God. We just move around killing people in the name of reprisal attacks. Let the Lord take his course. You cannot avenge every attack. It's just not practicable. Because when you do that, others too have the will think that they have the right to also avenge the killing of their people. You know, some families now, they are grieving at this time. They've lost their loved ones. How do you want those ones to feel? Those ones will feel that, look, we've been thoroughly cheated, then we must avenge this killing. That's why it has to stop. In Bali, in Taraba State, people are being killed also in the name of reprisal attack. When will this stop? It doesn't happen in civilized nations. That you heard, okay, gunmen enter the place, kill people, then there must be reprisal attacks. What sort of thing is that? When are we going to stop all this nonsense? Just simply killing people, innocent people. Come in the cover of darkness, not to kill your mates, but kill innocent people, women and children. Largely, those are the people, the greatest victims of all of this so-called reprisal attack are usually women and children. Women and children. Not able-bodied people, women and children. That's what we see. I'm happy that the governor of Ondo State has said that there should be joint patrol by Amotekun. I had warned on this platform that Amotekun should not be turned to an urban security outfit. As all the governors are using them to enforce curfew. No. Send them to the hinterland. Because the cowards who kill people, they don't go to the city to kill people. It is those remote communities that they go to kill people. Check the trend. Have you ever heard that those people, they hired the paid killers roaming around? Have you ever heard that they went to an urban center to kill people? No, it's remote areas because even they want to carry out their killings without being resisted. That's what they want. Have you heard that they came to a city center, maybe in Lagos, for example, to come and kill people? They don't do it. So defend those communities, defend those areas, keep them at bay. And Oyo has someone who used to be commissioner of police here in Lagos. So he should do that job a lot better.
Okay. I think Nasir is calling us from Moe. Thank you, Nasir.
Yeah, Baba Jide, if God will protect us in this country, I appreciate you people.
Thanks.
Like Oditolu just mentioned now, the former commissioner of police in Lagos spoke this morning on TVC, and he said we should not politicize this thing. Honestly, we should be very careful in this country. Yes, I voted for this government, but now what is happening in terms of security is unbearable. It's very, very unbearable, and it's sad. Honestly, it's sad. I was born in the East. It was the Civil War that brought us back to Lagos. That's where I bear Bamidele Nasir. And those that know the interpretation of that Bamidele, that means I was not born in my real hometown. That is the love. Honestly, this thing is getting too much. We should learn to live together as one. Either Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba. We are not animals, please.
No,
Thank you.
Some people have an agenda.
Yes, one other point. That's what I want to raise.
Some people are determined.
What I want to raise now, if somebody is telling me, like, I've spoken with the Seriki Fulani of Lagos several times, and sometimes if he's talking, he will talk to you in Yoruba language, and he's telling me his forefathers, everybody, they were doing business here, his children, they don't know any other place. So how come we can't see ourselves as one? Why must we always put this dichotomy, and if there are bad eggs within a certain ethnic stock, why must we generalize that this set of people, this set of people?
That
will divide us the more.
There are always fringe elements in every society, extremists. And it's our inability to isolate and deal decisively with them that has brought us to this level. There are moderates, there are conservatives, there are extremists. People think that, look, the only weapon they want to use in any engagement is violence. They are not doing it for their own tribe, necessarily. But they are just doing it because there is an opportunity for them to do without
they are rotting the same violence.
Look at this Igangan we are talking about now. 50 people on Okada. They are somewhere now as we are talking. Nobody has been able to detect them. So how strong is our intelligence gathering capacity? Even for the fact that they were able to drive for about 30 kilometers coming to Igangan and then left after committing the havoc on Okada. And we have not been able to take, of course, who came to Igangan. So up till now, we cannot say, okay, they are located here. If we have an effective security system, they will have been located, they will have been monitored. Even as they were coming, they will have been sighted. And then preventive measures will have been taken.
Drones.
It's not so much a lack of intelligence, because if we were told that some fighters were being brought in from Mali by no less a person like Colonel Togun or as in Brigadier Togun, then we cannot say that the intelligence was not there. But you still need to back intelligence with technology. Drones, drones to monitor movement of these people. And when you can ascertain that, yes, these people are killers, they are coming to kill our people, we should be able to send helicopters, helicopter gunship, to send them to go and meet God in heaven. There is no other way to do it. But if we lack that intelligence to pinpoint their location, yes, we knew they were coming, but their location, you need what's it called, technology to locate them and then send the message to those who serve the right justice to them. So that is, we don't have that.
And it has so much degenerated that we don't trust ourselves again. I look at you, Igbo man, Yoruba man, Hausa man, and the thing is now so pronounced.
Because unfortunately too for us, we are too biased as a people. We all retreat into our ethnic cocoons. We retreat into a lot of us do not have we do not have the good nature to imagine that whether my people are the victims or not, violence is not a good thing. That is what we lack. When you listen to people, any act of violence, some people will be happy about it because it's not their victim, and because their people are not the victim. But if their people are victims, even if it's just a few persons that were killed, you will see the way they will be reacting. You see the way they will be reacting. So this is the thing, and it has bred so much distrust amongst us. Nigerians must tell themselves that the animals trying to divide us as a people with all these violent attacks, that they are the people that we need to deal with. The rest of us must commit to Nigeria that, look, whatever happens, this is our country. We will not allow this country to break up. We will promote peace, growth and development. But where you have a situation in which you are not prepared to say the truth because your own people are a beneficiary of a violent action, then we cannot solve this problem. So we just find that majority of us are guilty. We can't say the truth. We are too sentimental.
You are meant to be
to go and secure a place.
To secure Nigerians.
You now turn the gun against people of another ethnic stock. You protect your people. You allow your own people to kill people. You then protect. So it makes no sense. This is what is worsening things. In the last few years, our diversity as a country has become much more pronounced, and it's because of the activities of some undesirable elements within our country. A lot of them politicians, a lot of them
to divide us.
They are not even politicians. They are people who do not like Nigeria, and they will be happy to see Nigeria fail. If we don't deal decisively with this situation, especially this security problem, is going to bring down our country. We have to deal with this.
I have Jakai from Jenugua, that's Bayelsa State. Thank you for staying with us.
Good day.
Yes, good evening. Go ahead with your contribution.
Thank you very much. Babajide, the world's acclaimed encyclopedia, the man that has made journalism easy for us.
Thank you.
The wave of killing in this country is so sad. It's very unfortunate that we have brought ourselves so low, such that human life have now turned to chicken on the shelves of it's so sad. And we want to believe that the security authorities should up their game. You can't tell me that in a country that is as small as that area that is a fast place, there are no operatives there. So I want to commend the governors of the Southwest for their effort, but they should send these people, like Babajide said, to the hinterland. Most of these criminals committed in the cities. They should go to the fringes of our various localities to enforce, because the police should aid them, army should aid them, enforce should do their best. Because these persons that are dying every day are Nigerians. And if we cannot continue like this, there is no education, there's no good health, there's no housing, there's no amenities. Life is getting unbearable for Nigerians every day.
Thank you.
Think of it, people will just wake up and...
Thank you for your contribution. It's saying we cannot continue like this, and I see it every day. If we continue at this pace, we are headed, as in the country is bleeding. There's chaos, there's crisis, there's hunger, there's so many things around the company, and the challenges can be described as multidimensional. And when you now see it, add to the fact that we are not standing as one. I've seen you've organized conferences trying to call this one, draw outside together, put them together in one room to talk. Why is it that the more we try to come together, the more divided we are?
The government has a lot to do in trying to cement the country by its policies, by its pronouncements, by his appointments, and by respect for the rule of law. If people kill, and we are not talking about prosecution of those that are responsible for the killings, for so 5, 6, 7 years.
Justice.
You know, there's no justice. It's going to compel people to lose confidence in the government. It's going to compel people to begin to take laws into their hand, which is not, no society should condone that. So the government must assert its moral authority by being just, by doing the right thing, to ensure that justice is done. We are talking of Igangan now. We know how many people have been killed in Kaduna, in Safara. There is no justice for
people in Benue.
There is no justice. They are not being arrested. They are not being prosecuted. So people are becoming hopeless. And I think the government should not just be watching like this, and doing nothing. So we are glad that the governor of Ondo State has said that, the Amotekun should work on regional basis. Because there is no way you can, the southwest states like
we try to water it down, but now we now see that it's very necessary
it's like
for everybody to work together.
You cannot pull any string without affecting the network. In 2019, Zamfara State, Sokoto State, and Katsina, they signed memorandum of understanding with the governor of Maradi in Niger State, another country. In Niger. So how much more of a country of the same states, 6 states? So there must be regional integration, so that they can share intelligence, they can share information. That is the only, because when people commit crime in Oyo, likely they will run and come to Lagos. Or they commit crime in Ekiti, they come and hide in Oyo. So there must be, and I think that was the original plan, until there were intervention, interference, from the federal government. So they should go back to that regional networking. I think it's going to be
more. The final submission on this?
Yes, I hope to see Amotekun strengthened. It's looking like our last hope now, because the police and the army are proved powerless to stop these attacks. If they were capable of stopping these attacks, they would have stopped them in Benue. It has almost become second nature to people there to expect to be killed. So before it degenerates in the southwest, I want to see Amotekun strengthened. The governors must spend more money on Amotekun now, provide them with what they need. They must increase the budget, provide them with what they need, and boost synergy between Amotekun and the police, so that they can work together. We have information that they work together in Igangan to foil this, to limit the damage, that happened in Igangan. That is what we want to continue. We want to see continue. There must be improvement in their work. We don't even want them to repel. We want them to ensure that they lack the capacity to carry out this kind of attacks.
All right. We'll take this breather. When we come back, we'll talk more. Let's still journalist hangouts on Monday. We'll be right back after this time out. Please stay with us. Welcome back. This is Journalist Hangout. We're reaching you from TVC News here, and I still have Babajide Kolade Utitoju and Adiwali Adeoye in the house. One man's weapon is another man's harm. As members of the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, warm up for its second strike in Kaduna State, the Nigerian military has warned them against power cuts. They said bombs stored in strategic locations could explode if starved of electricity needed to keep them under control. We should say a stitch in time will save 9. Babajide, now in this Kaduna we have military formations there. One division is there and a lot of military formation, and the military guys are saying now that look, you cut power supply for 2 days the last time, that it might backfire now if you attempt to go all out. That yes, you can come, you can strike and everything, but power supply must not be tampered with.
Actually, when you look at the way the last strike went, I think Labour concentrated so much of its energy on Kaduna State for a reason, because they felt that if El-Rufai got away with it,
that's why
other governors
might be that needed encouragement.
Other governors would be encouraged to do the same thing. They were bent on stopping him, and so they even went against convention. Naturally, they were not supposed to stop the banks from working. You are in dispute.
Essential workers.
You are in dispute. No, you are in dispute with the state government. Banks are not under the state government. They are private entities. you stop the banks from working. Now, coming to even the airports, you stop flights from taking off and landing in Kaduna. Many people had to go to Abuja to take a flight to Lagos and other places. Those were not enough. They went to what was it called, TCN.
That's transmission company.
Yes, to switch off electricity supply. TCN did not want to get involved in this strike because they knew that they were outside the purview of state government. They were not state government workers and all that. And they knew that ordinarily they were part of essential services that by law should not get involved in such industrial action. But the NLC president and his people, so that the strike will have tremendous impact.
They knew they were dealing with a tough customer.
Always also went to that to the TCN and got the TCN to switch off electricity.
To switch it off.
There are implications for that because what has now happened is transmission lines, high tension wires are often stolen by our people, vandalized, stolen. The moment people saw that they had switched off light, vandals went and continued to pack those, yes, to roll them.
Not scared though.
They knew that there was no current in them, so they went, stole those things. They've set TSM back. TSM will now have to spend some money, to repair things for no fault of theirs. I'm not saying that it was wrong to go on strike. It is my considered view that the government of Kaduna State and Labour had to sit down. That is what both of them should have done. Sit down with one another and say, okay, how do we go about this? No matter how hard it is, they should be able to tell themselves the truth. They will still, government can still carry out his plan after meeting with Labour. It's not something that you can do unilaterally. And I think even the Labour minister made that clear to the Kaduna State governor, that you need to sit down with these people. Now, but to go ahead and stop electricity supply during that period is against the law. We've had strikes in this country, even nationwide strike.
Yes, and they didn't have to
switch off electricity
from the grids.
Yes, so this one now the military authorities are saying that they warned them or they notified them that look, we are on dedicated power supply. For certain reasons.
Yes.
Now, if they use chillers to keep those bombs,
the temperature,
yes, to keep them in check, they are saying that due to the disconnection that was done, that we were close to having a situation in which some of them will explode.
Yes.
Nobody wants to see that because it certainly will lead to loss of lives. You remember what happened in Lagos here? When bombs exploded at Keja Cantonment,
yes,
we lost up to 1,000 people.
Yes.
Some of them ran into the Okeafa Canal. They thought they were running away from certain deaths.
Yes, not knowing that another one was looking at.
A lot of them will have survived. They had not headed in that direction. So this is what happens. You are hearing a sound that you never expected. You just felt war had come.
From running
in different directions. So you can imagine, and I know that even the stockpile of munitions and ordnance materials in a place like Kaduna will most likely be higher than what you have in Ikeja Cantonment, which is a small military facility compared to Wandi and even the Air Force Base in the same location. So nobody knows the extent to which the next strike will go. We can only appeal to both the governor and Labour to handle things like gentlemen, because if they are also saying that they want to go on strike because the governor sacked people.
Yes.
So
because
he was told not to sack those people during the meeting with the minister.
Yes.
So both of them have to find a way
to meet
to resolve things.
Now the governor has gone further to even look at his political appointees, and he has laid off some of them. Yeah. And he's saying that look, nothing can be done by the Nigerian Labour Congress to make him reverse that issue. I mean, that's the sack of these people. And the last I heard from the governor, he was so resolute.
Well, I think it's not how adamant the governor is that really matters, but what he does to ensure that his decision commands the respect of the people that he governs. And that means that there must be constructive engagement, with all the stakeholders. It's not good for you to take an extreme position at the beginning that is not negotiable. You should put all the cards on the table. If the resources you are receiving in the state and your revenue cannot meet, the needs of workers, you put it down and then you invite labor leaders, you discuss it and let them see reason. I believe this is absent. And this is very common with some of our leaders, that they just take position, either they are right or not.
Governors.
Bring the cards to the table, discuss with them. This is how much we receive every month. This is how much we need to pay to workers, and then you will have some kind of understanding. But taking an extreme position, if Labour now decide to take the same position,
that's why
that's going to
the military intervention now is not talking about Labour. You don't have to go to this extreme. But they know who they are dealing with, that this one is not ready to budge.
So I don't think in a democracy there should be room for extremism. There should be compromise. That's the essence of democracy.
And that's why the federal government had to step in, because when the governor was threatening to arrest the NLC president,
declared him wanted.
He will have, and the NLC president then went to government house. So arrest me. there are some threats that you don't issue.
NLC president.
I warned at that time that if you arrest the NLC president, it will lead to a nationwide strike. As I was leaving this program, I had no peng and Pengasan threatening that they will shut down the country if they tried it. The labor leader is the repository of the respect of workers.
They cannot. So no one governor can touch him. Even the president will not.
The president will not go to that. If you touch him, you've touched all the Nigerian workers. You can imagine how popular the Baba Sumono, who in my view is the greatest labor leader to come out of our country and the most recognized internationally. Hassan Sumono. You can imagine someone as much as he fought for workers at that time for minimum wage in the early 80s, for someone to say that he wanted to arrest him.
Even under the military.
Even under the military, they did not try it. Even under the military, they did not try it.
Thank you for staying with us. Omolade from Akure. Yes, thank you for joining us, Omolade.
Good afternoon.
May God continue to guide and guide you.
Amen.
I've been trying for weeks. It's on security, sir. What I want to say is that when they killed like 2 or 3 in the south here, the northerners will be crying. When they would have killed like hundreds here. So I don't understand. Aside that, I want to ask, sir, are we all demonized in Nigeria? When people say the sponsors are known, what are we waiting for? In this corner they say they are known. In this corner they can list them. Then what is next? Are we all demonized? What are leaders doing? Please, not you. Now that God is using, for us to know what is going on. We will all be in trouble.
Thank you, Omolade.
So how I mean?
I hope that the strike will not have to
go to a second phase.
The way of the other one.
Yeah.
Because that other one was very paralyzing.
Total.
People, no water,
medical workers.
No public water supply, and all that. Medical workers to stay away. I think it's still possible for reason to prevail. I don't want to see a situation in which bombs will start exploding.
Yeah. Oh no, what we avoid. What we avoid.
Uncertain death. That's uncertain death, because there's a colleague, a friend of mine in the armed forces that when I saw that story, I sent to him. He said that's a possibility. He said you have to store them. You can't just store them anyhow.
The temperature.
Yes. He said, look, you have to, and these bombs are very expensive. So we don't want to see a situation whereby over a disagreement between the governor and Labour, people will now meet on certain dates. People who do not have anything to do with your disagreement. So Labour and the governor, they have to find a way to come together and ensure that we don't go the extent of that last strike. Okay.
And finally on the show, it's too much ado about the indefinite ban on operations of microblogging site Twitter in Nigeria. The latest about the ban is that the federal government summoned the envoys of the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, and the European Union in Nigeria for a meeting over their comments on the suspension of Twitter. And also, the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, directed television and radio stations in the country to immediately stop further use of Twitter as a source of information. Jide, this is getting out of hand. And the suspension, I saw the press releases yesterday, jointly signed by these countries, and talking about freedom of the press, talking about alternative views in government, talking about democracy. What do you make of this?
I said yesterday that I felt the suspension was harsh. And I don't think, in my view, if the government had taken that decision about the time we had this NSAS wahala, and clearly Twitter was the medium through which even arsonists were mobilizing themselves. On Twitter, some of them was even go to the point of describing vehicles carrying TVC workers and saying, let's lay ambush for them.
Yes.
This is the time they usually pass, and they were mobilizing themselves to come and
attack
Twitter. Why Twitter will leave such inflammatory comments and refuse to take them down, I still don't understand. So when people accuse Twitter of bias,
falling disunity in the country,
bias, no one can deny that, because it is clear that you allow someone to do live chat, asking people to
destroy,
visit violence on other people. You didn't take it down. You took down what the president said.
Right.
The mistake that I think our government made was that by imposing an indefinite ban on Twitter shortly after they took down the president's, it made it look like, oh, this is just,
they're not tolerant.
But if you had done it at the time when we had that NSAS thing, especially immediately after, remember that even Jack, the CEO of Twitter, was even teaching NSAS promoters how to bypass the CBN clampdown on their source of funding by using Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and all that.
Yes, the detailed, we have the detailed activities.
If government took the action then, honestly, a lot of people would.
There's more to this operation of Twitter in Nigeria. If their co-founder participated actively.
I said he was teaching them that, look, use cryptocurrency, use Bitcoin, this and that, since the CBN was blocking access to funds. Now, if you took the action then, people will say, yeah, the country had gone through so much turmoil, and Twitter had been blamed for some of the violence, therefore government do this. But you took it because they dropped, they took down the president's tweet. There is no way all these foreign people will not be wondering what's going on. Is it that they don't want freedom of press? Anytime you move against the media, even if it's for the right reason, people would think that you want to stifle the free press.
The first amendment to the U.S. Constitution, Congress shall make no law.
You know, that was why I said that action of the government, though I oppose some of Twitter's actions, including even what they did to Donald Trump. But I said at that time, on Sunday, that it will send the wrong signal to foreigners.
Community.
Now you can see the joint press statement by those countries. It's a very strong one. It's a very strong one. There are some. Now the government is meeting with them.
They have to
find a way to explain that. Look, this was why. Don't just limit it to what happened to Buhari. Because people will see that just as an individual.
They need to allow the public to know the roles. That's
why I was talking about how,
the co-founder and everything.
He has removed that tweet where he was.
Yes, and they've been deleting all inciting tweets from now they can't know. Yes. They've been taking it down.
If they had done
acknowledging the fact that
that it was wrong of them to have kept those ones in the first place.
Removing Mr. President. Wale, what do you make of this? Is Nigeria standing firm? Are they saying, look?
I think in the age of information technology, there are strengths and weaknesses. You have to, the scale of prevalence, you have to realize that the advantages far outweigh the disadvantages. What most governments, a lot of governments have problems with social media because opposition use it maliciously. But what most governments have done is to improve mass communication, engaging the audience. And at the end of the day, they end up drowning the negative elements. Because if you look at Twitter, for instance, 40 million Nigerians are users of Twitter. Many people use it for private business. Many people use it for art, for science, for passing information. About COVID and all that, passing information to people and give information about security, give information about health. So when you look at the advantages, what has happened is just a spark. It does not represent the overwhelming impact.
It's dominating.
It's dominating. So I think the government needs to realize that the government also needs to start to communicate.
Yes, sir. If you want to communicate effectively,
there's
no state government parastatal agency. The president,
after the ban, governors were still using their Twitter handle
to communicate because effectively.
No, so the reach is tremendous. So they also need it. I think that our government has to communicate its concerns effectively to Twitter. Twitter is a business to make money. It is not a social enterprise. It's a business venture. So at the end of the day, they know that they will lose money by not being active in Nigeria.
And not show any form of bias for or against any government if you are in business.
No, people will always have their biases. That one, we can't rule that one out. But don't appear to support elements keen on bringing down the country.
Subverting.
Yes. That's the concern that India, for example, has with is this issue of subversive element being able to use you as a tool
to incite
the populace
against
now,
the government.
If Twitter can start deleting Nnamdi Kanu's tweets, it means that they realize that
they've started that.
Some things that they should have done along the way that they didn't do provoke these Nigerians to take this action. So Twitter will learn from this. I want to see a situation in which the government doesn't let this last for long.
No,
because it's not really good for us. Not good for our image. We are fighting wars on different fronts.
Honestly, this is not
the international community must not be allowed to conspire against Nigeria. Just using this Twitter thing. When you look at countries that have already banned Twitter, you will see that they are
And-
dictatorial
yes,
countries,
yes, they are not-
and our country is, we don't have a
democracy.
dictatorial regime. Yes, there's a democracy. We are not perfect, but we are not like China, for example. We are not like North Korea.
Syria.
But when you look at the list, those are the
Extremists.
countries that we found ourselves in their
lining
group
up
now.
with. So we are not in the same list.
I'm worried about that
League.
because we should not be on that list.
Yeah.
All right.
So this issue, now that they are meeting with these diplomats, they
I
should
think
be able
before the end of
to-
this week, they should be able to just lift up the...
maybe at the end of today's
I'm telling you.
we will hear what they discussed about. I know that even the Americans too are reaching out to the president because this is a big American company, one of the biggest in the world. They are reaching out to the president as well, and somehow, I'm sure that a solution
Resolution
will
is
come that
coming.
will enable both sides to learn their lessons.
All right. I want to thank you, Wale Adeoye. Thank you for your contribution today.
Thank you.
And the maestro himself, Babajide Kolade Otitoju. Thank you for your contribution as always.
Thank you.
And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Ozuwakun. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.